The Dionne Quintuplets tale is one of wonder tinged with darkness, a story that began with a miracle but quickly descended into a nightmare of exploitation and heartache. Born into a world unprepared for their arrival, Yvonne, Annette, Cecile, Emily, and Marie became unwitting prisoners of their own fame from the moment they drew their first breaths. The quintuplets' fate was sealed when the Ontario government, under the guise of ensuring their survival, passed the Dionne Quintuplets Guardianship Act in 1935. This act stripped their parents of custody and made the sisters wards of the state. What followed was the construction of a special hospital across from the Dionne family farm, a facility that would become known as Quintland. This hospital, while equipped with advanced medical technology, was designed from the outset as a tourist attraction. It featured an observation gallery where visitors could watch the girls play, effectively turning their lives into a public spectacle. The government, along with Dr. Alan Roy Defoe, who had delivered the quintuplets, justified this as necessary for the girls' health and protection. In reality, it was a calculated move to capitalize on their fame, bringing in tourist dollars during the Great Depression. Imagine the terror and confusion of 5 tiny infants, torn from their mother's arms and thrust into this sterile world of nurses and doctors. The warmth of family was replaced by the cold efficiency of a hospital built just for them, a gilded cage that would become their entire world. As they grew, the girls' lives became a twisted spectacle. Quintland, their home and prison, was a living museum where millions gawked at the sisters like animals in a zoo. Behind the smiling faces and photographs lurked 5 frightened children, desperately yearning for the love and normalcy that seemed forever out of reach. Their identities were stripped away, replaced by color-coded clothing that reduced them to interchangeable parts of a matching set. The world saw them not as individuals, but as a single fascinating entity to be studied, displayed, and exploited. The sisters' childhood was a tapestry of loneliness and confusion. While other children played freely, they performed on schedule, their every move scrutinized by eager tourists. At night, they cried silently in their beds, longing for the comfort of parents who had become strangers to them. The supervised visits with their family were brief and awkward, creating a rift that would never fully heal. Their days were filled not with learning and play, but with endless medical examinations and tests. Their bodies and minds were treated as subjects for study, their comfort and consent afterthoughts in the pursuit of scientific knowledge. Education was a luxury, secondary to their value as a public attraction. As they grew, the gaps in their learning would become chasms, limiting their future prospects and independence. The financial windfall generated by their fame, millions in tourism revenue and endorsement deals, flowed into the pockets of others. The quintuplets themselves saw little of this wealth, their future security sacrificed on the altar of others' greed. Hollywood further capitalized on their story, spinning fictionalized tales that glossed over the true horrors of their existence. As they entered adulthood, the scars of their unusual upbringing began to show. Emily's tragic death at just 20 years old was a stark reminder of the fragility of their lives. She died during an epileptic seizure, a condition likely exacerbated by years of stress and medical experimentation. Marie followed her sister to an early grave, her passing at 35 a somber echo of the childhood they never truly had. A blood clot to the brain claimed her life, possibly linked to years of malnutrition and the relentless pressure of public scrutiny. The surviving sisters carried the weight of their past like a millstone. Nightmares of their time in Quintland haunted their sleep, while waking hours were filled with the struggle to find their place in a world that had only ever seen them as a curiosity, never as individuals. Anxiety, depression, and trust issues plagued them, silent testaments to the psychological toll of their abnormal upbringing. Their lawsuit against the Ontario government was a final, desperate attempt to reclaim some measure of justice for their stolen childhoods. The $4 million settlement was a hollow victory, mere pennies compared to the riches their exhibition had generated, and nothing could ever compensate for the loss of their innocence and the family bonds that should have been their birthright. Even after the settlement, the surviving sisters continued their fight for recognition and justice. They spoke out about the long-term emotional and psychological abuse they had endured, shining a light on the difficulties of seeking redress for wounds that, while invisible, run deep and last a lifetime. The Dionne Quintuplets story serves as a chilling cautionary tale, a reminder of the dark consequences that can arise when society's fascination with the extraordinary overshadows basic human decency and compassion. It stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a call to protect the vulnerable from those who would exploit them for profit or curiosity.